Good morning, friends. And I say good morning because I'm planning to post this um, in a few hours after midnight, so it'll show up on Friday. So it'll come into your world on Friday. But I felt like it would be useful for me to bring this process into your awareness. I know I haven't had a chance to watch my own videos. And people say, well, why would you need to watch your own videos? You're saying the thing. And yes, the words come out of my mouth. But when the energy is moving, that information is coming through me and out of my mouth. So sometimes the information that's coming through me is coming to me as I speak it. That's what they call a prophet. And in case people, wanted to see me as the prophet fool, I decided that if I decided at some point to take my show on the road and do healing comedy, which I sometimes do in my videos, but I've had the idea that I do sit down comedy because I didn't want to stand up through the whole performance. So I'm kind of I'm practicing my sit down comedy right here, right now with you. But I had decided if I was going to have a moniker, it would be the Prophet Margin. It's just a name I made up. But I'd be the Prophet Margin. So this is an example, somewhat of an example of my state of Irishness. So this is also a state of Irishness. My uncles were priests. Two of my mother's brothers were priests. One of them was a bishop. And so and I was an altar boy for years. Once I found, once I found out that you could make money as an altar boy, like if you were a really good altar boy, and a really good altar boy was a boy who had shoes that were worn out on the bottom. So when they were kneeling with their feet facing the audience in the church, their shoes looked okay. And if you could kneel without fidgeting. So, it's an early practice of meditation, mindfulness, where I would just know there were things I was going to need to do next. And I could totally do the whole altar boy thing without doing my stand up or kneel down comedy routine. Most everywhere else, I was doing a comedy routine. There's a certain way that the Irish people handled trauma, and they're still under, so they're still under the control of the British. So, had the American Revolution, I think it was, and they just, I think it was the revolution where they were just like, no, we're not going to be controlled by the British. And then India had it. They weren't going to be controlled by the British. I think South Africa partially had it. They weren't going to be controlled by the British. There was so many places controlled by the British. I'm reading a novel right now, and it's about Quebec. And Quebec was controlled by the British, and still is to some degree, because it's part of Canada, which is controlled by the British. The northern part of Ireland, still controlled by the British, and it could be perceived to be you know, kind of outdoor prisons, wherever the British went and controlled the masses, they were in prison. And the British were the judge, the executioner, the guards, the wardens, all of it. And I must have some genetic, some genetic trauma of the British passed on into my neural system. Okay, so some of that was kind of an attempt to avoid. I realize I'm not going to be reading anything right away, so I don't really need the classes. I've just gotten used to them. Okay, today. So I'm going to look at how much time it took me to get to today. So it took me 6 minutes and 22 seconds to get to today. So I've been participating. Yeah. Okay. So I'm supposed to set up the healed first. So I got a little message, from whoever it is that says set up the healed first. Healed first. Healed first, field later. So I would suggest that you state these things out loud. If you want to participate in the healing field, it just makes it easier for you. If you do want to participate, it just brings you much more into the place where the healing will have more of an effect. So the first thing, state out loud, I choose to connect my deep self. I choose to connect my higher self. I choose to connect my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I'm hearing funny noises. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I let go of anything not useful to me now. And if you choose to work with the Hathors, you can state out loud, I choose to work with the Hathors. And then I'm just going to say these next words. I ask the higher self to surround us in a field of protection while we do this work. And I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event. Bing! That would be of the highest good, released and integrated at this time. And I invite all souls affected by this event to return to the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that they be placed in a field of protection while they do their work. And upon our arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event gently and easily, fully and completely on all levels and through all space and time. Some of you have been listening to me for a period of time. Those of you who are just showing up, the period of time is 8 minutes if you're still here. But some people have been following this process of healing that I've been involved in and assisting others to be involved in this process of healing and giving them some of the lessons I've learned, some of the things I've been taught that have helped me to do this work and work in a state of balance and a state of groundedness, which is really important, and centeredness to the degree that we can be centered in ourselves, balanced, centered, grounded, and open to the degree we can be open. So I connect with the healing power of the One, or the highest self. That's open. So when you do that, you feel that spaciousness. Okay, so the healing field is set up. If that's what you came for, you can hit the pause button, come back later to do the closing remarks, closing ceremony of this healing field. So, some of you know, I've talked about it a bit, that I've been in a course called Ancestral Healing Code with a mystic trauma therapist, Thomas Hubl. And Thomas Hubl is a mystic, and so he's connected to that world. And when I first came to know him, I didn't start really doing anything with him until, I'm going to say, this past August, possibly. But I started, it may be longer. It could, and I could find out. I just don't have the memory of it. I just know I began taking classes with him probably in September. I started with the Collective Healing Conference that used to be called the Trauma Summit or something like that, but they decided to rebrand it as the Collective Healing Conference, which sounds much better, much more attractive than the Trauma Summit, at least for many people. Although most people know if they're doing healing work, they're doing the Trauma Summit. They're climbing that trauma mountain and trying to get to that place of awakening. So it was a 5-month course. It completed today, on April. So you're going to see this tomorrow, but it completed today, which is currently still today. It's always will be today, actually, now that I think about it. But April 3rd, and this was the 10th download of information from the mystic, the trauma therapist mystic. So this download of information. And then he does a few healing things with people at the end. So today I was really looking forward to doing some good work. The only problem was at a certain point in download, something opened up in me. An awareness opened up in me about how blocked my energy was. And that blocked energy caused me to separate from the group, the Ancestral Healing Code group, who I've found to be very useful, very helpful, very much of a collective. But I found myself triggered and separate and going, oh no, this is my last class. And I felt worse and worse as the class went on. And so in the class, it's online. There's 600 or so people online together doing this energy work together. And when Thomas does a bit of information download, and we do some journaling, and people can write in the comments section things they're experiencing. And people are like, I'm feeling light. I'm feeling joy. I feel my heart opening. And I'm like, I feel blocked. And I was able to maintain that feeling of being blocked through the whole download, through the whole course. But in the last, let's say, half hour, he did some healing work with a couple people that happened to be kind of a major issue that I have worked with. Having to do with parenting and children and adult children and relationships. And so the consciousness, the awareness of the traumatic events that had taken place at the time of the divorce, which was 25 years ago, and 3 teenage children, and my attempt to extricate myself from the marriage, but somehow keep the relationship intact with the children. Didn't happen. I feel like I was a really engaged, involved father. I feel like I worked really well with my children. They may not say the same thing, but you got to make up your own reality. So I'm going to say I was a really good father. I mean, I was a father that read to my children almost every night. If I wasn't making up stories and telling them kind of healing stories, before they went to sleep at night. I was very engaged as a father because I basically was a big kid. And I like to play, and my kids like to play, and so we all played a lot. And that was pretty much, I felt like my role as a father was to show my children how much fun you could have throughout your life. And I feel like all of them have done that well. But I wasn't able to be, they couldn't, I wasn't able to, or they weren't able to accept whatever support I might have given them in this transition process called a divorce. Long story short, the 3 of them came out of it with trauma. It was traumatic, and maybe it's very difficult for it not to be traumatic, but still energies held on for 24 years. And me considering myself a trauma therapist, it's very challenging when there's these 3 people that I love very much who I don't really feel like I can be of any help to, other than doing my own work. So that was part of what was going on in the healing sessions at the end, the last half hour or so, 40 minutes. These healing sessions were about that, were about relationships with parents and children and just, the pain of that. And I started my own healing process. I had guides and stuff when I was younger, but I started my own kind of in the world healing process when I was 19. I participated in a group therapy, with the people I lived on the startup vineyard, the startup hippie vineyard that I lived on from 70 to 72. And so I participated in a um, group therapy with, I don't know, 14, 12 or 14 of us living on that property. And that was my initiation in therapy. And I basically found therapists after that all the way along because I realized that I could learn to function better in the world than I felt like I functioned at that time. And so I've continued with it up to now. And now I'm in a 5-month process with traumatized people studying Ancestral Healing Code to help them deal with their traumas. It doesn't have to take you as long. For me, it needed to be long like this because I needed to learn as much as I could about letting go and allowing healing to take place, which is about letting go. It's about forgiveness. It's not about forgetting, it's about releasing. So you don't have to forget. Memories are memories, they're always there. But if the emotional energy is off the memory, then it's not a trauma. A trauma is it's past that's present because as long as that emotional charge is on the memory, it's always there and always charged. And we hold on to the energies because when we were experiencing that event, that overwhelming event, we might have been intrauterine, as I was for some of my traumas. Our trauma could have been a traumatic birth, which it was for me, or a traumatic childhood, which it was for me. And so, I gave myself a rich life because my soul kind of interest was healing. And so, how better to learn more about healing in a human body than by giving yourself a life with a lot of traumas to heal from? And then, in order to live in this life and enjoy life in any way, you had to learn how to let go and how to let the energy flow. Today I met the beast. I would say, and some of you will know what I'm talking about when I say dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul is you just got to go in and you just got to clear some really deep, ugly thing. Maybe you did, somebody did to you, whatever it is, it goes through the dark night of the soul. You get into that darkness and then you release the energy from it. You bring light to it. Call it a dark night of the soul, but it could be a dark month of the soul. It just depends how long you spend in it before you come out of it. And I've done this multiple times with good results, but not all of you that are watching this came in to this life to be a healer, although you probably did, but maybe you didn't give yourself as difficult a life as I did, or you may have. It's not a competition. So if your life was harder, I'm okay with that. It's nice to find a person whose life was harder. But we learn from each trauma that we resolve. We can so relate to another person when we hear what they're going through or what they're releasing. And today I would say, and there may be more. This may be I was going to say this was the mother lode, but it might have been just a trickle in the stream of the gold that's in them, their hills. So it may be, again, I keep having this hope, this ongoing hope that, this is the big one. And after this, I'm just going to be a happy person. And it may be. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that this was um, terrifying energy. Um, and it took me a lot of practice to get to the place where I could be with it and not in it. Because the reason I call this healing work observational healing, because I learned that healing is easier and gentler when you're not in the midst of it. So when it's going on, when you're releasing the trauma from the body, but you're staying out as the healer person and you're observing your own process, that's when everything can get easier. You can let go of things easier than you can from inside them. When you're inside them, it's like, no, I have a right to feel miserable. You know, I have a right to suffer. I've been through so much, I deserve this suffering, you know, and it's like, okay. Or you can say, I may have a lot more healing that I need to do. I just don't know. I may want to get through this sooner than later. So for how kind of terrible I felt in the course today with this mystic trauma therapist healer, dude Thomas Hubl, I felt it. I was lost in it. I came out of it. I got lost in it again. I came out of it. I got lost in it again. I came out of it. I got lost in it again. I came out of it. And this went on all day. And it may continue. I don't know. I don't know if it was like the cork off the bottle, you know, and the genie came out. I just don't know. All I know is I stayed with it, and every time I felt the tear, I released a little more of the tear. Felt the tear, released a little more of the tear. Did this over and over and over again, because these early events, when they occur intrauterine, while you're in the womb, and the parent drinks alcohol and it goes through your neural system, that's a trauma. Or if somebody hits the mother, Doug forbid, somebody hits the mother and hits the child through the mother, these things happen. Or abortions are attempted and they're successful, then you may take that trauma on a soul level, or you may resolve it right then and be done with it. But there might be an abortion attempt and you make it through and you come out the other side. And maybe you have it neurologically, it's not necessarily a time that you could actually process that, or let's say you just didn't. And then you have a traumatic birth, and then you have another near-death experience, and then you have a traumatic childhood. You might end up being a person with a video, a YouTube channel. Today was one of the harder days I can remember, but not one of the longer, harder days. Because of everything that I've studied and because of everything I've been taught in the dream world, a lot of my information has come from the dream world, from courses I take in the dream world. I've learned a lot of things that have helped me let go of things quicker. So here's the secret. You want to heal faster? Let go of things quicker. Now, you can tell people for your entire lifetime why you have a right to suffer at the level you suffer. Because this person did this or that person did that, and they said this, and it was a divorce, and then it was a separation, and then whatever it was. The sooner you release the energies of the trauma, the sooner it moves from being a trauma to being an experience. Once the emotions come off of it, you integrate the experience. Now it was an experience. I can tell you about lots of experiences where I've let go of the emotions around it, and some where I haven't let go of all the emotions. Even if I process it another time, if I haven't just completely released that energy from the core of it, it's still there as an active interference in my energy movement. I don't know that, I don't even know what it was I was releasing today. I didn't feel like I needed to see the image of it. I felt like I needed to release the terror of it. I have ideas in terms of what it was, because some of these things I've been back to numerous times, but it's kind of like, let's say that you're trying to get a little more flow in the water of your river or your creek, whatever amount of water you want running through your neural system. And there's all these blocks. There's a boulder here, boulder here, boulder here, boulder here. And they're stuck. And you're in there kind of wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggling it. And then eventually you just are able to roll it off to the side and roll it out of the stream, roll it out of that flow of your water, and then you do that with another. And eventually that stream of light, that stream of life, that stream's just running through your system without interference. It's kind of the goal. And each step along the way, you have more energy running through. Each step of the way, you've opened up that crown chakra wider. Each step of the way, you've let go of more of those emotional contractions. And sometimes, if your traumas were so core that they occurred while your neural system was actually being created, it could be a bit more challenging, and you might want to see a professional, someone who knows how to work with these things. The key to me, this is what I'm learning, the key is my ability to go outside myself, to be able to feel the trauma that I'm feeling, to be able to feel the fear or panic, anxiety, or terror. Today it was terror. It's just an advanced level of fear. To be able to feel that with some spaciousness, take hold, a feeling of compassion for that part of you that went through that, and just love that part of you as it, so to help it to feel the comfort as it lets go of that energy that it felt like it kept it alive. It got it through that experience. But to be through that experience, it has to be released. The more space that you give yourself, the more compassion and love that you allow yourself to feel for that part of you that went through that unbelievable experience that you may not even know what it was, but you could feel the energy of it. You don't need to know what it was. I'm just telling you. All you need to do is release your hold on that energy. Let it go. And if need be, let it go again later if it shows up. But every time you let it go, you get better at letting it go. And maybe you don't have that kind of life, or maybe you just haven't discovered it yet. Whatever it is, when you have released enough energy, you become very compassionate towards others who have that energy. And when you have that compassion, you also may have this feeling of kindness and love for that person as another you, which you are for me. You're that person that is another me, working through things, living on a planet, having a goal of being able to imagine, intend, and to bring into existence a world that works for everybody. And it starts here, imagining that world that works for everybody. Is it possible? Imagining that it's possible. Holding your intention on that world where the entire world is filled with an energy of spaciousness, compassion, curiosity, kindness, peace, joy, love. It's a good vision, and it's worth holding. And it's worth holding no matter what the world appears to be while you're assisting it to change. And it starts with yourself. It starts with, I can hold the space for myself. And it's okay if others hold the space for you as well. So you're watching this video of this world healing field that's set up multiple times a week. The world healing field is always up, but these individual events within the world healing field that we go back to, that occurs a number of times a week, sometimes a number of times a day, but definitely a number of times a week. And these are meant for you to go back with thousands of other souls to these events so that you're healing these events collectively. And when I just state out loud, I invite all the souls affected by this event. On a soul level, they all hear that. They understand this event's going on. They feel drawn to go to it. They go back to it. So we have thousands of souls at these events, healing these events for themselves. But when you do it as a group, it's that much gentler and easier. And we can work with bigger events. And we're working within a world healing field. And it's set up, and there's all sorts of beings holding that field and holding us safe within that field while we do this work that we agreed to do before we came here. And now you're running into me and you're going like, oh, this guy seems familiar. You know, did he say that he would orchestrate this thing? And I do kind of orchestrate it, but I'm really like, what is that, little marionette puppets? I'm really a marionette puppet for a higher consciousness. That I am that higher consciousness, but I am also, you know, in training in this process as I go along. So I'm guessing that's over 30 minutes. So yeah, 40 minutes. So there's going to be a long one, but maybe it'll upload faster because it's in the middle of the night. There's not as many people trying to send these messages to YouTube. But so probably make, I think it's pronounced Topher Mobile, but I don't know. He'll correct me if it's not, if he watches this. And he's the only person, I think, in the history of my 15, 16 months of making videos, he's the only person that ever said he wished they were longer. He just kind of blessed the guy. He wants more of this. Okay, here you go. You got more of this. This one's 40 minutes. Okay, we still need to finish up the healing field, so let's do that. So I asked the higher self to assist all the souls that return to the event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity, compassion, curiosity, and kindness. And I would ask all the souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth with peace and joy and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energy into the earth at this time. And we ask that this new energy be brought in now. And we ask that it be activated. And we let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that is good. Thanks for you doing this with me. It makes my job easier. The more people that do this, kind of less energy that I need to ground individually. And the work I did today, let me know if you find anything shifted as a result of this video, if this video felt different to you, or if it seemed similar, or if it seemed worse, or what. You make up your own, just feel free to make a comment about it. But it was a big day for me, and I finally got to the place at the end of this day where I felt like, okay, I want to make a video about this now so I can remember what happened. And I may not have given details, but I did give you a little bit of information about how you might work with some of these events when you get a kind of a bigger event. You need to get bigger in the event. So you're big enough to help that part of you that was so small and just didn't get over it at that time. And our responsibility, if we want to take it, is to help that little one get over it now. Get all that power back that might have been trapped holding that emotion to that event. Okay, that's it. And it's been a pleasure once again, and I'll see you soon.